downstay right off the rip, your level of compliance in this environment is very low right now. So you don't so much have an issue with stranger danger, you so much have an issue with your level of compliance you have over him in a new place probably.
You guys all want to hang out here?
The biggest thing I find is like, if I walk up to you, he's fine. If you are walking up to him, then he has like one of those like, oh, he's so cute, whatever kind of thing. Like then he'll be like, oh, like defensive mark.
Yep, I got you.
Yeah, he's not a bite risk or anything. He's just loud.
All right, put him in a downstay.
Boom, down. He also has separation anxiety. Down. He's fine to be left like alone, but if I put him somewhere and walk away from him, he'll be stressed. Down.
Okay, so right off the rip, and I'm going to be kind of nitpicky with stuff here, so don't take any of it personally, obviously. So downstay right off the rip, your level of compliance in this environment is very low right now, right? So you don't so much have an issue with stranger danger, you so much have an issue with your level of compliance you have over him in a new place probably.
Potentially. I mean, he's like this at home. Like the stranger danger is worse at home, I would say.
Yep.
Like if somebody would come over.
So my same question would be then, like, do you feel confident that you could put him into a place command, go walk and let somebody in your front door, he's not going to make any mistakes with it?
No, like he can't hold.
Sure.
When someone's coming.
Yeah.
No. When
Yep.
someone's coming over to the house that he doesn't know. Down.
So
like. Around
totally get it.
It's crazy that like he can't hold any
Yeah.
position.
So that's where it starts,
Yeah.
right? Is then overall, forget new environment, overall your level of compliance you have over him is not as high as you need it to be, which is why he's constantly on that edge of making a mistake. And of course, when that trigger is massive, like something he's really scared about, he's going to be even further on the edge of his seat ready to make that mistake. So we've got to work on your level of compliance you have with him. So let's do this. Let's just start by working some downstays here. Now, is he dog social?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, so here's what I want to do. We need to start making sure that we could hold him accountable more for these downstays or whatever level of compliance we're asking of him, right? So what I want you to do is go pick a spot somewhere and then tell him down one time and then don't say anything else.
Okay. If he's like doesn't do it fast enough, am I telling him no or anything, or I'm just waiting?
Don't worry about speed right now. Just tell him down and just let it breathe for a minute. Give him a second to make a decision to either do it or not do it. And then once you are 100% sure he is committed to not doing that down, you're going to tell him no, and you're going to give a much harder pop than you gave him for breaking that down right there. And then you could help him back into the down. Beautiful. And that time he did it, obviously. And I have no problem with using rewards right now. If you're used to using rewards, want to give him one,
Doesn't really care about
totally can. If not, no big deal, obviously. So go ahead and set your leash down and walk away.
Down.
Now, you said down a second time right there. Was that for any reason?
He doesn't have a stay. It's just like an implied stay kind of stuff. Just reminding him like you're not following me. Like you're.
Nix that reminder right there. Because you shouldn't need it. Because yes, you're right, your down is an implied stay, right? And you just put him into a down and you gave him that down command, right? So that right there is what told him to stay. So we shouldn't need to say it again. If anything, allow him to, if you feel like you walking away without saying down a second time is gonna cause him to break command, let him make that mistake so we can address it. So, and then just kind of walk around, hang out. And if he gets up, what you're gonna do is first and foremost, you're gonna give one clear no. Almost. One clear no. You don't have to say it harshly or anything like that. So identify the mistake.
No.
Go back. No. Grab your leash. Nice and calm. Firm pop. Perfect. And then down again. Beautiful. Now I saw after you said no and he fixed himself, you stopped. Were you going to not give a correction there?
That's a habit. I know that that's an incorrect habit, but
Yeah.
breaking that for myself. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. So obviously make sure if you've identified the mistake is not, the no marker is not fix yourself or else you're gonna get corrected.
He does have kind of like something, like I tell him wrong, if like I tell him to sit and he downs instead, kind of.
Sure.
No is, I'm trying for myself to
Yeah.
remember no means an actual
Yeah.
correct is coming. Wrong is like try again.
Wrong is technically historically like a non-reinforcement marker,
exactly.
right?
Like,
So.
it's not a bad thing, it's just not what I asked.
Yeah, it's incorrect. You're trying, right? We're working on something new, wrong, that's incorrect. You're not getting the reward. If anything, it's almost like a negative punishment marker, right? So yeah, don't worry about that right now. Right now, it's just gonna be the no, but no is a marker for punishment, right? So no means that punishment is gonna come. It's not a warning. So obviously in that case, even though he fixed himself, we're still giving the correction and then still reiterating him back into position. Beautiful. So why don't you go ahead and go back to him, pick up your leash, but don't release him yet. So obviously right there he did well with this. I'm sure a lot of people know this, but picking up the leash can be a really big distraction for dogs sometimes. So I always try to separate picking up the leash, making sure they're not seeing that as the cue to get up. Then you can go ahead and break them out or free them or whatever you use. Beautiful. Good job, buddy. So let's go ahead and do the same thing again somewhere else.
Down.
Much better. Do you find that with him, your first rep in a new place is sloppy, but then the rest, once he's in training mode, he's really good?
Sometimes, like, he's obviously, no. Down.
Perfect.
He's obviously been coming here, like, every day since Monday, so
Sure.
he's a little bit less stressed every day than he's
Yeah, yeah.
been here. I would say, like, yeah, in general, once he warms up a little bit better, then I just find oftentimes he's so consumed with, like, his stressiness that
Yeah.
he's not really, like, listening
Yeah, yeah.
able to pay attention.
Sure. Yeah, because obviously these last couple of repetitions he's done very well, and we could say that's obviously because he got a correction or two, but a lot of times I'll find like the psyche of the owner that's working with the dog, sometimes the very first rep we give is a little like lackadaisical, you know, like it's kind of loose, like we give him a little freebie on it, sometimes like that, but then after that first rep, we're consistent with our expectation. And I always say you want to start treating your very first repetition that you ask immediately in that moment, just as strict as any other ones, because the key is not once he gets into a training state of mind that he's really good, and I'm talking generally right now, obviously not you, is not that, you know, once he gets into the groove, he's really good. It's that we get the immediate compliance right away anytime we need it, right? So try to be mindful of that. That's why, like, when you gave that first down, you were a little loose about it. You asked it a couple of times and stuff. Very first rep, right? Even if it's 3 hours from now, you get him out of the crate and go to put him into a down, right away with that correction if he doesn't do it. So. Very good. Go ahead and just walk around one more time and then go back and get him. And release. Beautiful. Okay, we're gonna do this one more time here, but you're gonna stay with him. So put him in a down and then hold the leash. Beautiful. Hi, puppy. Hi, puppy. You're such a good-looking dog. You look really, really good right now. Good choice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's pretty good, right?
He is a lot better here. I think
Sure.
the expectations are, like, very clear from the
Yeah,
beginning
yeah.
here that it's, like, no nonsense, but, like, more so, like, on the street or anywhere where the picture is not as
Yeah.
consistent, it's more personal.
So that is either one of two things, right? That's a generalization problem, which means you need to set this picture up in multiple places, or that is a,
It's probably mostly a
Consistency
on my
issue.
part, probably because I'm not
Yeah, yeah.
at, like, maybe he's not in the right gear all the time or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, you gotta right away, especially with a dog like this, you know, obviously a lot of your shepherds and stuff can be very territorial, you know, so you gotta be very on top of them over this kind of stuff. So, all right, let's go ahead and release him, and we're gonna try maybe 1 or 2 reps of that, 1 or 2 more reps of that.
You like get excited with the dog?
Yeah,
try to
sure.
Distract them. Do you do that because the average person would try to do that with the dog?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, and I'm mindful of who does it, right? I would never have like owners with their own dog be doing that because that's kind of giving a conflicting message. But this dog is never going to need to work with me, right?
So you don't take the risk here.
Yeah, I'll take the risk here. I'll do that. Like, oh, hi, puppy. Like how many times do you go out on the street and like you're walking in a busy park and you see like that person that's just like,
And I find sometimes
you know, like one of those.
that is the trigger enough for him. It's
Yep.
not necessarily
I got you.
full approach. Sometimes it's just like if
It's
they're,
the little things like that.
engaging
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, it's like don't talk to me.
And we try to do our best to advocate for our dog by creating some space and at least making sure they're not coming all the way up to him. But there are some times, like when you take dogs into public places, you're gonna run into slightly less than ideal situations. So intentionally practicing for those, you know, I think can be beneficial for sure.
The thing with him that I find is kind of interesting is if he's in a situation where he's almost being flooded, like if I take him to like a pet expo, then he's cool and he totally doesn't care.
Well, that's
It's
normal.
More so if it's just
Yeah.
like one person walking down the street Like
Yeah.
even if they're on the other side and they're just like looking and smiling,
Yeah.
they might be super offended by that.
That's why flooding works in
Yeah.
general. That's why you can get breakthroughs with dogs, is because when there's so much stimulation around them, they can't single in on one thing, you know? Where when you're walking down your street and there's one single dog or one single person right there, it's like 100% of that focus can go on that. So that's normal. Good.
So why do people talk about flooding being so bad?
Because it's stressful.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Anything stresses.
Yeah, it's unfair, it's stressful, you know, it's like, it's gonna make, you're teaching them to bottle up their emotions, like it's all of that, you know, it's, yeah, I mean, that really is it in a nutshell, you know, and I don't think flooding is the solution for everything, but it can help you get a lot of breakthroughs. Like if you have a dog that's really dog aggressive, instead of me putting them in a position to fail with one single dog they're gonna be able to hyperfixate on and go after, I could put them with 10 and they're like, whoa, this is weird. And then they could kind of get used to, oh, this isn't that bad, right? That's the part that I think people fail to realize when it comes to flooding in particular, is it's only detrimental to the dog if the thing you're flooding them with is truly and inherently actually aversive, right? So if we're putting them in a position where we're flooding them with 10 dogs that are actually attacking them, you know, like obviously that's gonna be detrimental. They can't escape and something really bad is truly happening, right? But a lot of these things that we're flooding them with, these aversive perceptions, they're perceptions. They think something scary is really gonna happen, right? So by flooding them with it and having them experience it, they could realize nothing scary actually is happening in the first place.
The other thing is, I actually didn't even acknowledge this until you mentioned yesterday that you think that he's resource guarding me, which does make a lot of sense
Sure.
in this situation. But like, he would do the same thing if I wasn't here.
Yeah.
If I tied him up somewhere
Yeah.
and like went completely away where he couldn't see
Sure.
me anymore, and then some stranger or person who would still do the same defensive barking.
Yeah.
Is that a completely separate behavior? Do you think? Or is that
It's probably one and the same.
resource guarding his space and himself.
I think that when you get into the conversation about resource guarding, like he's resource guarding you because he's insecure. So the root of the problem is the insecureness, obviously, right? It's more a him thing, but because he feels really comfortable around you, because probably a bulk of the thing he gets from you is resources, love, affection, stuff like that, it just kind of amplifies it a little bit,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, I wouldn't even say that it's worse. Like, honestly, it probably would be worse if I, like, tied
Yeah.
him to a pole and somebody
Yeah.
approached versus if I'm here and somebody
Yeah.
approached, because I think he kind of knows that he's not supposed to do it,
Sure.
and I'm there to, like,
Yeah,
stop it kind of thing. But potentially it is, like, guarding of me or, I guess, basically.
Yeah. So just hearing you talk, like obviously he's not really doing anything right now. He does seem like he's gotten more comfortable in this environment. But just hearing you talk, like you said, you don't feel confident you can get him to hold a place command when people come in the house,
No, if I
right?
had like a stranger coming over, I put him in the crate when
Yeah.
the first coming in because he's just so amped
Yeah.
up that he can't.
So that would be a place to start, right? Like find a friend that you could have come over and work, you know, knocking on your front door, you putting him in place, and then going and letting him in. Here, we'll simulate that real quick. I'm gonna put one of these places down real quick. So go ahead and pop them on there real quick. Beautiful. And then go ahead and drop your leash. And so generally what you would do in this situation, if you were to set this same thing up, you would have your place board somewhere in visibility of your front door, right? And what you would do is you would have your friend outside or whoever it is.
That he knows or somebody that he doesn't?
It doesn't matter. Because right now, I'm sure he probably wouldn't hold place with somebody knocking on the front door, whether it's somebody he knows or he doesn't know.
If they're knocking though, the knocking is like a.
Sure, yeah. So it doesn't really matter initially. You could start with somebody he knows, then move to somebody he doesn't know, right? But if I were to come to your house, let's say this is your house, right? I would have you not have him on place initially. I would be outside. I would instruct you, I'm gonna go outside, I'm gonna knock on the door, knock, 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 or ring the doorbell or whatever it is. After that happened, I would give him that place command and I would ensure compliance of it. I would correct him, obviously, when he inevitably is too distracted to do it. Then once I have him settled on there, I would go let the person in and I would just repeat that drill a bunch of times. The reason why I wait till after the knock or after the doorbell is because I'm trying to pattern in here to some extent that doorbell ringing or door knocking means go to place. Right? It's never going to be ultimately the expectation I correct him for if he doesn't do it, but I'm deconditioning that response of doorbell rings, go freak out at the door, to doorbell rings, go to place.
Right.
Does that make sense? Right?
Is it realistic to ever expect like no barking at the door? Like he's.
If you came to my door and you rang my doorbell, all 4 of my dogs would run over to the front door and let out 2 or 3 barks.
Yeah.
You know?
My real thing is I would like to be able to have him bark, but then like bark for as long as he wants until
Yeah.
I tell him enough.
I-
If I don't
yeah.
tell him enough for like 10 minutes, then he can bark for 10 minutes, but like if I tell him enough.
Yeah,
like-
I'm not a fan of allowing perpetual never-ending barking until I tell them to stop, but I think it's normal that your dogs will have a startle response to like, oh my God, somebody's there. It's like if you're just comfortable laying around and suddenly the doorbell rings, whoa, what the heck was that, right? I think that's a normal response, but I always pattern them right into an expectation after that, and by doing that, even if I don't give the place command, generally after that initial startle of, oh my God, there's people at the front door, they will calm down, you know? So this is the drill that I would start working from there then at that point. Do you think there's anything else that would really distract him right now if we did it?
Distract him?
Yeah.
I don't know, like, maybe if he's over there and I'm over here, you like go up closer to him. Like, again, like he's definitely not gonna bite.
Do you have back ties here? Oh yeah, there's one right here. Now just for,
Should I correct him?
yeah, because you gave a extra one of these it looked like, right? So we want to make sure he responds to the verbal command. So right there, since he didn't respond to that verbal command, instead of repeating the command or repeating the command, we would be correcting in that
But was
moment.
he not, he wasn't committed to not downing because he was halfway.
Sure,
through the
yeah,
down?
yeah.
Is that,
What I would have done in that moment if I were you is I would have let it breathe for another minute before I did anything else,
okay.
right? So instead of jumping right to like you didn't do it in a second, you know, I would just wait an extra second, see does he finish the command or does he not?
Okay.
Right? Now, one thing, anytime you're using back ties, you probably talked about this, make sure you know how far the dog can get before you do anything with it, obviously. Right now, I'm gonna kind of overcompensate. I'll probably go up to like here or so. But, you know, pro tip.
He is a safe dog, he's not gonna actually.
I understand, yeah.
Just so you feel comfortable.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have you go ahead and just walk away. And then same deal, just be ready to mark with no if he gets out of position. Now, because you put him in a down on that place board, the wrong decision would be what?
Standing up.
Standing up, even if he was still on it, right? Now,
He doesn't have we don't really do place very much, so I always use the down.
totally fine. Seems to know it fine.
He
So,
doesn't like it.
so I'm gonna have you go like even a little bit more further away. Go over by that gate over there or something. Yeah. Hi, buddy. Are you focused on your mom over there? Are you anxious that she's gone? He's more focused on you than he is on me.
He has a lot of
Yep.
separation.
So firm pop here, then mark with down again.
Down.
Perfect. How long have you been using a prong collar with him for?
Since our last, like, almost 2 years.
Long time?
But
Yeah.
I don't really, to be honest, I don't really use it that much.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Why not? Out of curiosity.
Because I wanted to stay really, really sensitized to it.
So I understand the want to keep him sensitive to it thing, but what's the best way we can keep a dog sensitive to the tool? Getting back to our conversation about things that startle dogs by not needing to use it a whole lot. That doesn't mean not putting it on them a whole lot. That means getting past the problem so we don't need to use it a whole lot, right? So I would argue if this was my dog, he would be on that prong collar 100% of the time when he goes anywhere, which gets to my conversation about training tools in general, like e-collars. My tool is the e-collar, not the prong collar later on in the training. The e-collar I still use to this day with my dogs, and I put it on if I have people come over the house, if we go off leash anywhere, or if we go anywhere public, right? And because I forever and ever till the end of time will put it on in those 3 situations, I almost never am in a position where I need to actually use it because I'm never caught off guard where I can't correct them, right? So I would try to get into that same habit with him of anywhere where he would generally act up, you're gonna proactively, forever and ever till the end of time, put that tool on so you could never not be able to correct him. The only reason why I asked about how long you were using the prong for is because the prong I feel like is one of those tools that can be a little bit with some dogs tricky long term if you're not being firm enough with, where they do get a little kind of desensitized to it, you know?
I have to dig it out of storage for this meeting.
I think your solution here really is gonna be when people come over the house or you go out in public, prong and leash on, and then start enforcing the expectation much more clearly with them. And that probably is just your bigger picture issue. I don't think like us working a ton of like, oh, hi, puppy, is gonna really be like the problem, right? Or the solution, I should say. I think right now you've got to maintain a little bit more of a degree of consistency of just training in general, you know? So let's do this. What I want you to do is go walk to that door over there and pretend like you're letting somebody into your house. I want to see your full like acting capabilities and everything. Oh, hi, it's so
Hi, we'll make
beautiful. Let's see it, and just be ready. Keep an eyeball on the back of your head on him, and be ready to correct him if you need to. Perfect. Now you're gonna come all the way back over, real firm correction for this, then down again. That was a weak correction.
It's a bad angle.
There you go. That was a better one that time. Now don't, wait, hold on. Don't worry about that right now,
Okay.
right? Right now, again, picking and choosing our expectations here. I'm okay with a little startled that there's somebody there. I'm not okay with total lack of impulse control of the thing I asked you to do.
Okay, so if he's barking.
Wait till he
now,
makes the
that's
mistake.
okay?
Wait till he makes the mistake.
Because sometimes that will happen. If I have him on a leash and
Yeah.
somebody else lets somebody in,
Yeah.
I'll
Yes.
enforce him holding his down, but he'll bark in his down.
Yeah, But you're seeing a lot of problems at once,
Yeah.
right? You're seeing that I don't really have as much control over him as I need, and he barks when I put him in the down. So let's pick the one to address first, right? And what you'll find is that will get better as you address the bigger problem. And again, realistic expectations. If you came over my house and walked in the door, was like, oh, hi, how's it going, right? Like, my dogs would probably let out a little woof too, but hold their position. Cool, let's go try again. It's all the dogs. That was much better on his end, though. Yeah, it's a hi. Yeah.
I'm moving in a month, so I really want to fix it for my new player. Yeah.
But you see how much better that rep was. He thought about it, and he even kept himself cool while all the other dogs did it.
He's good at that
Right?
here.
That was good.
In regular life, I find he's
Mark with no.
down.
There you go. Try to fix that with no also.
Yeah.
Consistency with it.
As-
And then still more firm with your pop. That still was not that firm. So I'm not saying we want, like, it's not about like seeing him like screaming and stuff when we give the correction,
I know
but you
what you mean.
have to see you cared about it,
Yeah.
right? Because we're correcting with the intention of not needing to correct the next time.